Greetings, BookTube. So I'm just gonna do a short hangout here. I'm gonna talk about my TBR, but my wish list slash TBR of all the books and books I want to reread and book series that I want to read slash reread. Because I've made I made in the past a list of individual books of all the books I showed my wish list to all of you in the past. I've done it twice already in 2 live streams in the past. So this one's going to be a bit different. I'm going to talk about the books that I've read in the past and I want to reread so that I can give you guys a review of them. And books and book series that I want to read. So it would be an ongoing project of buying all the books and reading them. But before I do that, there's some announcements I want to make, like my reading schedule for the weeks and months to come. So I'm still reading the Tommyknockers, but in October I'm going to temporarily stop reading in the beginning of October 1st, to read another horror novel from my library that I showed on my community tab. Breeder by Douglas Clegg. It looks like a Rosemary's Baby knockoff, but I read on Goodreads that there are a lot of positive reviews about it. So I look forward to that. So yeah, I'm going to temporarily interrupt this book. Interrupt reading the Tommyknockers. I'm almost halfway. One more chapter, and then I'm past the halfway point. That's cool. And I like this setup. So I got the blue backdrop, and I got the light on my face like this, so it looks a little bit like a studio. And now I got a stable wooden table here for my laptop to be placed on. I like that. The second thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, I did make that review. I did make that video where I asked you guys, that short video where I asked you, my audience, should I read a romance novel? So far, I only got one comment there. I'd be very interested in your opinion on that. And in October, by the way, and one last thing. In October, I hope I'm going to be doing a joint live stream with my friend, interview with the Raven. I'm not good at editing skills, so I cannot show you her banner here. I don't know how to do that. And this is a live stream too, so it's not recorded. I can't edit this on the spot. So without further ado, let's get this over with. And I imagine this is going to be a relatively short live stream. So let me just get to here we are, books I want to reread. And I have some of them here, or at least parts of them. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So, The Iron Heel by Jack London. I've read this book in the past. I showed it on my compilations of dystopia and alternate history books. It's widely considered the world's first dystopian novel. This is a printout of a PDF file I got on the internet. I want the real book. I want to read the real book, and I want to read it a second time. I don't know if I'm going to make a review on it because it is relatively popular. So I don't think I will make a review, but I do want to reread it. But when I want to purchase a real book, not a printout from the print shop. The second book I want to reread, so I can make a review of it on my channel, is it's over here. Snow Falcon by Craig Thomas. Yeah, it's a political thriller. I've read it before in the past. The reason I'm not reading it right now is because the text is so tiny, is really small, and turns out my reread of it, it's not as much of a page turner as it once was. So I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I do want to get to it so that I can make a review of it on this channel. Yeah, like I've read it before, but I want to make a review of it. The next book I want to reread is another political airport novel thriller called The Whole Truth by David Baldacci. You might have seen it in my older video of books that I lost. I mentioned that book, as well as a non-fiction book about etiquette on dealing with the Dutch, a book called Act Normal by Hans Gladenbach. That's a non-fiction book. Now, those two books somehow got lost in the shuffle of when we moved houses and stuff. So I hope to buy them on the internet one day. Hope to buy them on Amazon. At the moment, I cannot afford to buy any books, so I'm kind of have to do the read what you own thing. MJ's read what you own. Although there is some books on Tokopedia that I will buy, so I'm not doing the read what you own challenge. There's some other books that I'm going to read for the first time that I'm going to buy. Just two of them. I can't do a large haul, like I said, because I just can't afford it. So I've rambled on about books I want to reread, and if I am or I'm not going to do the read what you own. And I also encourage you to go check out that video where I asked you guys whether you want to tell me if I should read a romance novel. Okay, on to the next thing. Book series that I want to reread. That I want to read/reread. So I want to read David Wingrove's Middle Kingdom series, but the recast book set. So instead of 8 books, there are like 12 books or something. But they're still in the process of being published, and they're frankly not very good. They're frankly not bestsellers, so they're very difficult to find, even though they're newer books. But I'm not giving up hope that I can reread the recast books, because there's new additional material in the rewritten edition of that really long sci-fi dystopia series. You should check that out, my video on that out, about David Wingrove's Middle Kingdom series. It's also a video on my channel. It's one of my more popular videos too, so I would point you to that. I do want to read this. I do want to read this fantasy series called Tales of the Otori by Leon Hearn. It's a fantasy series with a Japanese aesthetic, culture and geography and so on. I've only read the first book in the series. There's like a total of 5, and then there's a spin-off. There's a spin-off making a spin-off duology making a total of 7 books. So I've only read the first one. I want to buy the other ones as well. I talked about it before. It has a little bit of a charm. It reminds me a little bit of my favorite book, Musashi. And then there's a political series that I do want to read, the House of Cards series by Michael Dobbs. So these are political intrigue novels that became a famous TV series in the UK, and then there's a then there was on Netflix. They made an American version of it, but it was based on 3 novels by a guy called Michael Dobbs, who happens to be a conservative politician. So I'm going to read books by someone I don't agree with politically. Anyway, and then here's an interesting one. The Buru Quartet by Pramudia Anantatur. This is an Indonesian author who had his books banned for decades, and he was a political prisoner for many, many, many years. And his books were first published in English, in fact, before they were published in Indonesian in the 90s, early 2000s. I have to double check. Um, but it's a series about the years leading up to Indonesian independence, and there was this pro human rights activist. It tells a story about a certain journalist in the early 20th century, his life. But the author was a human rights activist, and he was for much of his life a political prisoner. He was a harsh critic of President Suharto and Sukarno. Um, he's long since passed away, but he was these days considered something of a hero amongst Indonesians. And his book was published in English first, so I'm going to try reading that. I should actually also read the book in Indonesian so I could sharpen my Indonesian reading skills as well. And then I could write, and then I could make Indonesian language content on this channel. Hmm. And then there is a World War II detective duology, a crime noir duology called by an author called Simon Scarrow, Blackout, and the sequel Dead of Night. I saw this duology in I saw the book Blackout from my friend who I'm subscribed to, the avid reader, back when he was still when he showed his book haul, and back when he was still doing reviewing some fictional books in addition to his nonfiction. Now he's entirely nonfiction. Um, yeah. Uh, so Blackout and Dead of Night, which is a World War II detective fiction by Simon Scarrow. And then there is another duology, an alternate history duology called The Kingdom of the Wicked by Helen Dale. What if the Roman Empire industrialized? And this tells the story of the trial of Jesus, but in a modern backdrop. It's one of those weird alternate histories where not where something in the past happened differently, but where the future meets the past, or the past meets the future. Um, some Shakespeare plays like Coriolanus and Romeo and Juliet, and I think some other ones too, have like a modern day setting based on a play by Julius Caesar. Where and then they did like a story where like Coriolanus is supposed to take place in ancient Rome, but then they put it in the modern setting, and and there was another one. It's slipping my mind. It was about a king of England, also from the, I believe, the 1500s or so. Wait a minute. I confused the time, so I'm a little late. Well, that's fine. That's fine. You can watch the rerun later to see what I was talking about earlier. I mentioned you earlier, by the way, about you mentioned the book Blackout, and I realized there was a sequel, Dead of Night by Simon Scarrow. You alerted me to that duology, and I'm going to read those two books. uh, so yeah, you got that recommend. It's on my wish list. Okay, where was I? Okay, let's see. Yeah, Kingdom of the Wicked. So it's that weird kind of experimental novel where the past and the future meet. There was also a movie called. Still have not gotten around to reading Blackout. Hmm. Well, share your thoughts in a wrap up in the future when you do. I'd be curious. In a yeah, in a like 3 month wrap up, I believe you do. Anyway, So yeah, there was another film called Transit, which is a World War II film with and it was based on a World War II novel, but with a modern day backdrop. This experimental stuff where the past and the future meet. It's crazy. Just look this stuff up. You can find it on the internet. It's easy. So those happen to be the books I want, the book series, and books that I've already read but want to reread. That's my reread TBR and series TBR. Um, anyway, yeah. Uh, I I I hope in the future. I hope in October I could get a third person to participate in the live stream I have with Raven, interview with Raven. I will definitely put her name, her channel in the description because yeah. So I oh boy, I hate it when I have to start rambling. Oh yeah, I have I finished writing that book about the serial killer. It's a thriller, crime thriller. I recently finished writing. I'm currently editing it. If you're interested, I could email the prologue so you can get like just a taste of my potential in writing. If anyone who's watching right now, you can email me. I have it. I have my email in my channel description. To if you like to see what I can write, I can show you a prologue so you can get a little sneak peek of my latest project. I finished writing the book. I'm just editing it, and when I finished with the editing, I'm going to focus 100% of my energies not on writing, but getting my books, my previous backlog of unpublished books, published and sold on Amazon. So I'm going to focus all my energies, no more distractions of another book I'm writing. It'll be a top priority. Maybe someone, if whoever's going to watch this, might want to be an early editor of my book. Like I'm currently editing it, and then I'm getting feedback from my father. But if anyone else wants to read the book and then read the early manuscript of it and give me suggestions on how I can make the book better, um, just to let me know. Whew. Do you like this setup? I like this. I know it's not a bookshelf, so it doesn't look necessarily smart, but it looks a little bit more like a studio, a little bit more professional. I got it. Yeah, I mentioned this. I mentioned this earlier, but I think when it comes to live streams, I'm going to do this from now on. Yeah, and I make all my videos with a few exceptions. Like if I make some short videos, I might film on my phone. But in the future, I'm going to film with my. But no. But I'm going to make. But from now on, rather, I'm making all my videos on a Handycam I have. I'm still learning, but I'm getting better. Okay. I'm going to try to ramble on until 20 minutes flat because I like that. So, all right. I still have a minute. Any books you recommend currently? I might pick it up. Might pick it up in the future because I should practice people read the books I recommend, but I should be also reading books everyone else out there is recommending. So, if you got any good, airport novels, if you got any good alternate histories, or if you got any good dystopias, let me know. Oh, I know what I'm going to talk about. So, the two books I have on in my trolley in my cart on the Tokopedia online seller is The Plot Against America by Philip Roth and We by Yevgeny Zamyatin, a classic dystopia. I'm going to buy those two books. from my online seller. They're in my cart from my local online seller. Okay, thank you for your commentary. I apologize if I'm a little bit repetitive, but I think I'm going to end the stream here. It's 20 minutes, a little over 20 minutes now. Goodbye. Thanks for listening in.